Did you know that 33 million teen vapers globally think that because e-cigarettes don't cause cancer, like conventional cigarettes, they must be all good? By conveying the hazards of nicotine vaping as 5-minute short stories or microlearning, and spoken in the simplest language possible, Safeguard is by youth, for youth, and in the language of youth. Teen Vaping Awareness Mission. So, what are you waiting for? Listen, learn, quit.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Safeguard, the teen vaping awareness microlearning platform, where I, Ayan Sashadri, seek to take the complex science of teen vaping and simplify it down to a teen-appropriate level. So this is our second video of the Safeguard series, with the A in Safeguard, the second letter, standing for analyzing the differences between smoking and vaping. First, we'll delve into conventional cigarettes, and then discuss how e-cigarettes differ from conventional cigarettes. We'll delve into the complex debate surrounding vape devices having to do with why some people find them harmless while others deem them harmful. So if you tuned on to the first of my 9 videos in this microlearning series, you probably remember this timeline where we went through the evolution of research surrounding cigarettes and smoking. That all led us up to 2003, the big moment in our story where Han Lik, the Chinese pharmacist and inventor, develops the e-cigarette, which is a smokeless, pure nicotine smoking device with reduced carcinogenic agents, and we'll delve much deeper into this description over the course of our video today. So, let's think about the differences between conventional cigarettes and e-cigarettes for a minute. Smoking, conventional smoking, is the inhalation of smoke created from the combustion, or in layman's terms, the burning of tobacco leaves to release free nicotine from it. And smoking uses the traditional rolled up cigarette paper, which needs to be burned at the end of the lighter, and you can see an example of such a cigarette paper in the top of this slide. Vaping, on the other hand, is the oral and nasal inhalation of purified nicotine, not smoke like a conventional cigarette, which is in its liquid state when 99% pure, as opposed to a solid state in a conventional cigarette, and can be mildly heated as opposed to burned or combusted to release vapors. And vaping uses an electronic heating pen device called an e-cigarette. Nicotine vaping is a highly debated topic in public health, and this is because of the fact that conventional cigarette smoking is, in order for conventional cigarette smoking to happen, the tobacco leaves must be cured using a type of chemical called a tobacco-specific nitrosamine. And here you can see an example of an inspector inspecting these tobacco leaves to see if they're cured. And these nitrosamines that are used to cure tobacco leaves are a known carcinogen, meaning that they're known to cause cancer. Since vaping doesn't require these tobacco leaves, as we discussed a minute ago, these nitrosamines are no longer required, meaning that vaping is less cancer-causing, leading to the misconception among many adolescents and young adults that vaping is safe. So moving into the inner workings of an e-cigarette, the sort of anatomy of the e-cigarette, as you can see in this visualization to the left, here's a graphic representation of a pen device, a vape pen. In order to use this vape pen, the first step for a user would be to turn on the LED indicator, which would then activate the microprocessor and then the sensor. This would emit some heat up into the cartridge, which contains our 99% pure liquid nicotine that we discussed earlier. And then heat would gently aerosolize out of the vape device through the mouthpiece, emitting it as mist or vapor that the user would then inhale. Now to direct your attention to the right side of our slide here, there are 4 types of e-cigarettes that are all currently available on the market. The first kind is a cig-alike, which is very similar to your conventional cigarette, with one single-use disposable product. The second generation, or the second type of e-cigarette, is a vape pen, which is distinguished with its refillable cartridge and replaceable battery, which is similar to our image that we just discussed on the left. The third gen is a mod, or a modifiable cigarette, which is distinguished by its refillable cartridge, the customization of substances, and the fact that it's chargeable. And the fourth gen is referred to as a pod mod, which gives you the maximum variation as a user in shapes, sizes, colors. It is temperature sensing, it is adjustable airflow, it's also chargeable, and it is the most technologically advanced cigarette. And as I was saying, all 4 of these types of e-cigarettes with increased level of technological advancement are currently available on the market. So now let's discuss the math of nicotine intake. One cigarette with conventional smoking releases 0.8 to 1 milligram of released crude nicotine entering our lungs. And people typically complete an entire cigarette 10 to 12 puffs at a time. Vaping, one round of it would cause 12 to 15 puffs, and this is quite comparable to that of the conventional cigarette, leading to 0.6 to 0.75 milligrams of purified nicotine entering our lungs per puff. And you might think that this is 25% less than that of smoking, and you'd be right. However, being in an ultra-purified form, the particle size of vaping is smaller than that of the conventional cigarette smoking, as you can see in these two graphs here, that the particle size distribution in purple of the e-cigarette is much less than that of the conventional cigarette in green. Thus, it's believed that purified nicotine inhaled through vaping reaches much deeper parts of the lung tissue than crude nicotine. And you can see this diagram of the anatomy of the lung, the gray circular particles that are smaller can reach much deeper parts of the lung. And these are the particles, these smaller particles, that are represented in vaping. And that's why these particles can reach much deeper parts of the lung than that of a conventional cigarette. So now just what I wanted to show you in this slide is that there are many contents of the e-liquid, the liquid that we were discussing is in the cartridge, and then many contents of the device itself, the metallic components that are used to make the vape device itself. And when they together are mildly heated, they create two sets of chemicals: known bronchial irritants, meaning that they're lung irritants, they irritate the lung, and also carcinogens, new carcinogens created from heating these components. And this is going to be our anchor that sort of takes us into story 3 next time. So here's our learning objectives quiz for story 2, very similar to what we did in story 1. So I'll start out by reading these 5 questions. First, who was Hahnlich? Secondly, why do many people think of an e-cigarette as a safe cigarette? Thirdly, which of these makes e-cigarettes safer? Fourth, name all true statements about vape pens. Note there could be more than one here. And finally, name all false statements about vape pens, once again with the possibility of multiple correct answers. So I'll give you 15 or 20 seconds, just like last time, to pause the video and attempt these questions, and then we'll all take a look at the answers. Okay, everyone, I hope you guys have all had the opportunity to pause the video and attempt all 5 of these questions. Now let's take a look at our answers. So as you can see, the answers are all marked in pink. I'll give you a quick second to check them. And just like last time, if you got 3 out of the 5 correct, thank you so much for listening to me over these last 5 minutes, and let's move in to story number 3. See you all next time.